Hey V's, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making the second soap of our Holiday 2020 making series. This is Ice Palace Cold Process Soap. So this theme is really about channeling the aesthetics of an ice palace. So lots of white and iridescent colors with slight color shifts to little hints of pink and purple and blue, just like when the sun reflects off the snow and ice and you just get little hints and shifts of color. To channel that with this soap, it is mostly white with some very faint pastel swirls of pink, purple, and blue. The top of the soap is also liberally dusted with some biodegradable glitters that color shift from a silvery white to blue, purple, and pink. This is a fairly easy soap to make, but it does take a while to pour in all the different colors to create the different swirly layers. The video is definitely the best place to see the process, but if you are looking for information on the fat blend, the super fat, water discount, all of that, make sure you're reading the blog post linked in the description box below. All of that is detailed there. If you're planning on gifting these bars this December, make sure you make them sooner rather than later so you can easily leave them 3 or 4 weeks to age. I think that's about it. Let's go make some soap. All right, let's make some Ice Palace soap. So in here we have our fat blend, and over here we have our lye solution. So both have been made and allowed to cool until they're just ever so slightly warm. So definitely not hot, but not fully room temperature either. In this dish we have some white kaolin clay, and here we have some titanium dioxide. And remember, for precise amounts for everything I'm talking about, make sure you are reading the blog post, which is linked in the description box below. So for some other things that are currently off camera, but you should know about them and you should have them on hand, we have our colorant. So this is a selection of micas pre-dispersed in some castor oil. We have some additional sort of funnel measuring cups so that we have somewhere to put our different colors of batter. We have a bundle of my favorite spatulas. I've got some paper towel, and I have our mold here prepared and lined with parchment paper and then elastic around the edges so that the parchment stays in place. I also have our immersion blender and a scale for weighing out and portioning out our batter. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our white powders to our fat blend and then blend them in with our immersion blender. Usually with powders, especially titanium dioxide, I will pre-disperse them in some castor oil, but knowing that we were gonna be hitting this with the immersion blender straight away, I didn't bother. And once you have thoroughly dispersed all of those white powders in there, we're going to add our lye water and bring the batter to a light trace. So I'd say we are at a light trace now. So our next step is dividing the batter up and putting the coloring in the bits that need some coloring. And so here I have just an extra measuring cup that I'm basically just using as a dock for dirty implements so they're not rattling around on my countertop. So I'm going to be weighing 200 grams of batter into 3 different measuring cups, and that'll be our colored parts, and that is roughly 1/8 of the batch of soap batter. So once we have our 3 parts of batter, each of these is roughly 1/8 of the total batch, we're going to color each of them. And I'm really just aiming for a slight whisper of color. And there we have our 3 parts. You can see that this is quite a thin liquidy batter, which is just what we want. Up next, I'm gonna pour some of this batter, the white batter, into a funnel cup. The amount doesn't matter, I just want the pouring funnel since pouring out of the edge of the pot isn't very easy. And I'll be topping this off as we go. So here is our mold. It's a wooden mold that my dad made me. There's details for it on the blog. And I'm propping it up here on a bit of wood that is about just shy of 1 inch thick, maybe like 2.5 centimeters. And so I'm gonna be pouring on, kind of on this angle here, and we'll get some interesting kind of pour patterns that way. So as you can probably guess from most of the batter being white, you know, we'll be doing lots of white and then interspersing small amounts of the other colors. When you get to the point where you only have a wee little bit of your colored ones and you're pretty much to the top on this edge, we're going to level this out, and then we're going to do a top layer of the white. Now we're going to just kind of drop some of the colored bits around in little blobs. And then we'll get a toothpick, have a bit of swirly fun here. And last but not least, I'm going to positively coat the top of this loaf of soap with a selection of different biodegradable glitters from Humblebee. This first one is Glamour Silver. And then our last three tie in with the different colors. So they kind of look silver on first glance, kind of a silver white. And then when the light catches them, this one shifts blue, this one shifts to a lilac, and this one shifts to a pink. And so these really channel all the different colors that you can see in ice, depending on the lighting. All right, I think that is enough glittery goodness. So all that's left now is to leave this to saponify. All right, so it's been about 34 hours. I'm going to take apart the mold and we should be ready to slice this loaf of soap. Okay, so what's coming off on the knife here is still pretty soft, so I am going to leave this to continue to sit and harden up for a bit longer, but take this opportunity to kind of trim up some of our edges here. All right, so it has been about 3 days since I made and poured this soap, and it is substantially firmer than it was when I took it out of the mold, so we should be ready to slice it. Yes, that's an excellent slicing consistency. As you can see a hint of the sort of the whispers of color in this piece, though we should get significantly more noticeable colors deeper into the loaf. I have a microfiber cloth here that is just slightly damp to wipe the knife off between slices. Now that first cut was a bit gummy, so I'm gonna try the wire cutter and see how that goes. That is much better. And there we go. So we just made a lovely Ice Palace cold process soap. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and please make sure you are reading the full partner blog post at humblebeeandme.com. It's also linked in the description box below this video to learn more about this project. For everything written out, all the instructions, links to places to buy all the ingredients, and a whole lot more. But yeah, you're gonna wanna leave these bars to age for at least 3 to 4 weeks before gifting them. And if you would like more ideas for Christmassy giftable DIYs, make sure you're staying tuned for more Ice Palace themed creations, and check out humblebeeandme.com for all of my past Christmas DIYs. There's quite a few of them. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.